Welcome to Tilecast. Tilecast is about putting together the tiles of the biblical mosaic of Jesus' mission. We want to explore the themes relevant to all of Jesus' teaching. My name is Ty Nickel, and I'm the minister for the Essex Village Church of Christ here in Charleston, South Carolina. Enjoy the Tilecast. The Prodigal Son is the title most commonly used for Jesus' third parable in Luke 15. The title has been ignored by many scholars because Luke's emphasis, while partly on the son who returns, is mainly on the father, who not only suffers the shame of both sons, yet also humbles himself to pursue both sons, while they are in a state of self-exile. Luke chapter 15 verse 20 says this, "And he arose," that is, the younger son, "and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him." So we see that the younger son is a long way off, and this is symbolic for being in an exilic-like state. Luke chapter 15 verses 25 through 28 says this, "Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound.' But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him." Notice how the father humbles himself both times, a behavior definitely in contrast to the honor-shame culture of the Middle East. The title of the parable is that the prodigal is emphasized and the behavior of the son is emphasized, meaning wasteful. Prodigal means wasteful. This is a clue to the meaning of the parable, though there's much more tension between the older son, who looks upon the father's humility and reception of the younger son with contempt. The older son is upset by the celebration of the father. This celebration is the third celebration in three parables. So the tension lies between the father and the older son. The first celebration is found in Luke chapter 15, verses 5 through 7. In regard to the shepherd finding that one lost sheep out of the 100, he says, "And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost.' Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance." So here we find the first celebration where we are hearing friends and neighbors being called into a gathering, just like the father has a celebration for the younger son. The second celebration is found in Luke chapter 15, verses 9 and 10. "And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Just so, I tell you, there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who repents." The celebration found in Luke chapter 15 with the father in verses 22 through 24 states this, "But the father said to his servants, 'Bring quickly the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring the fattened calf, and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found,' and they began to celebrate." Now, a fattened calf is something that an entire village would have been able to eat, not maybe a father and just a few of his family members, like two sons. So we find a celebration involving the entire community. The Pharisees and scribes in Luke chapter 15 verses 1 and 2 are upset that Jesus is celebrating with sinners by receiving them and eating with them. We find the same scenario here with Jesus. Verses 1 and 2 say this, "Now the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to hear him. And the Pharisees and scribes grumbled, saying, 'This man receives sinners and eats with them.'" Jesus is obviously welcoming those who are drawing near to him rather than rebuking them for their behavior. So, what is being explained by each of the three parables, and especially the third, which is usually titled the Prodigal Son? And what does this tell us about the kingdom being on earth as it is in heaven? First, each parable portrays Jesus' decisions to welcome sinful people who draw near to him. Instead of condemning them as though they had no right to draw near to him, he welcomes them. The Pharisees and scribes here in Luke chapter 15 believe that someone who receives sinners is obviously going to be contaminated by them and therefore couldn't be a credible agent for God. If shepherds were regarded as lowly, outcast, and unclean, then a holy man would know not to associate with such people. Therefore, Jesus chooses a shepherd seeking after a single sheep in his first parable. And if women were generally disregarded as not valuable at all, then a true prophet would not cast himself in the same shameful way as he did in his second parable. Therefore, Jesus chooses a woman. And finally, if a Middle Eastern father suffers the dishonor of his sons, then God wouldn't allow such humiliation from the public either, as Jesus is allowing people to recognize him in this way by accepting and welcoming sinners and tax collectors. Jesus masterfully, though unexpectedly, stages himself in his ministry as a different kind of anti-hero. If this is the case, then the kingdom of heaven doesn't appear to be arriving with the stereotypical attributes normally associated with a Middle Eastern king: forgiving sins rather than taking vengeance, demonstrating compassion rather than enforcing a zero tolerance policy, and embracing and kissing versus scorning and casting out, all become markers of disloyalty for the Pharisees and scribes. So, how can this be what the kingdom of heaven actually looks like? This is what they are asking, and this is what Luke is demonstrating for us in Luke chapter 15. Shall we continue on with the parables and their meanings in regard to the kingdom of heaven in the next Tilecast?